Hello and welcome everybody. Small Business Stacey here with another episode of Small Business Marketing Success Interviews. You know, there's a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but video does that 4 times every second. Hi, I'm Small Business Stacey.
I'm Digital Dave.
Where marketing
meets technology.
And that's why I am so thrilled to have Joshua Hughes from Epic Video with us today. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Stacey. How you doing?
I am fantastic. I'm so glad you're with me today because here we are on video. And this is a topic that so many small business owners have questions about. They don't know where to start, what to do, how to do it. And I know that you are a true expert because I have personally used your services, and the videos that you've done for me are absolutely perfect.
Thanks, Stacey. Yeah, you're right. We're in the middle of a huge communication shift where people are realizing that 90% of communication is nonverbal. So sending out written text to someone or an email or even a photo or an Instagram post or whatever is just not, it doesn't have the personal touch. You can't communicate tone and you can't communicate, the things you care about, or like you can't add passion to what you're saying when you're just sending copy. And so there's a huge opening as people are adjusting to like, oh my gosh, like I can talk to people like I talk to people now that, video is a more widespread tool. So I'm really passionate about resourcing people to do that, especially like churches, nonprofits, small businesses, people who are passionate about doing something, but are not backed by a bunch of, high money resources, and making all of that kind of material accessible to them.
Fantastic. Now you're young enough to probably have grown up with a video camera in your hands, but I'm curious about the backstory. I mean, did you grow up knowing you wanted to do video?
So I sort of ended up doing video at first. I grew up with a video camera like you're suggesting, but I was using the video camera to like have lightsaber battles with my neighbors and stuff. That's what we were doing. And we even made our own little like news show, my siblings and I did, where we would report on the news around the house, the new brand of toothpaste and how much better it was and whatever. But it didn't really go anywhere. What I was really passionate about was live like communication. So front of house audio mixing and lighting design and the sort of theatrical scene. And I pursued that from probably age 12 the whole way up to 2 or 3 years ago. And it worked, and I loved what I was doing. And I ended up working full-time for a church in Nebraska for the past not the past because last year I was in this business, but before that, 4 years at a church in Nebraska. And I kept noticing like people would show up to help them with stuff and they would get ripped off, or other churches in the area would come to us and be like, is this how much we should be paying? Like, are you guys paying this much for these kinds of services? And basically video companies are viewing churches and nonprofits as small contracts, right? So they're basically, upcharging their prices because they figure they're only a one-time client, and they're just not treating their clients with the same integrity at every price point. And it really started to bother me. And working for a church, which I'm sure is pretty much the same with any small business, you kind of wear every hat. And so I was there as their audio person, but I still was involved in all the video they made and, the live events and everything they did. And so I kind of had some exposure to video. And then someone from the community came to me and just said, hey, I know you do videos sometimes for the church. Would you shoot a video for my company? And I did that just as a favor for a friend and realized like, I love this. I'm having a great time. And then I spent an ungodly amount of money on equipment and just like dove headfirst into videography and, what makes it successful. I'm a data guy, so learning about the metrics and, how do you calculate the actual return on investment of a video and those kinds of things. And last May, my wife got a job opportunity back on the East Coast where we're from. So we moved for that. And rather than find another church to work for, I started a company so that I could work with lots of companies and churches and things like that. And so that's how Epic Video was born and sort of how we got here.
What a great story. And I think what's even great about it is that you are a small business owner yourself. And being that you're working with small business owners, you get them, right? Because you're
Definitely.
practicing what you preach.
Yeah, I know the struggle.
I'm here to help.
That's right.
All right. So, Josh, we know about the professional you, but my audience really wants to know about the personal you. So, a few questions.
Hmm.
Soup or sandwich?
Oh, sandwich, specifically paninis, every
Yeah.
time.
All right. You got to be specific about it. All right. How about Netflix or Hulu?
I think Netflix. I'm more of a blockbusters kind of person than I am a shows kind of person. So Netflix has more of that available to me.
Okay. Good to know. And black and white or color?
Ooh,
Yeah. I
I,
thought that was interesting being we're talking video today.
that's so that, gosh, I mean, I could ramble on for hours about this question. It depends on the application. I would say for anything that is primarily story based or narrative based, black and white's going to be more evocative than color. I would say for anything corporate or polished, color is going to be better. For me personally, I think there's a lot more fun in black and white content because you really have to push yourself to get all of the things color normally does. Color conveys emotion to us. So if you're making something black and white, you have to find a way to convey emotion. It's like when you have a talent wearing a mascot suit. Like, how do you get the fact that this person feels something when their face can't change? It's one of those really fun creative challenges. So I really like working in black and white.
Okay, well, great. So, a small business owner, they've heard so much about video, but they're probably thinking, oh my God, that means I need a $5 million Super Bowl type ad. Why should a small business owner think about using video as part of their marketing strategy?
Yeah, so you can break down content into 4 categories. You've got discoverable content, informational content, relational content, and actionable content. Discoverable content reaches an audience and just surprises them. It doesn't have anything to do with your company. They just go, oh, this person posted something that totally sucked me in. And it should funnel them to the next stage, right? Informational content. And this is where you start feeding them something of value to that person, right? We want to add value back to the client. Gary Vee calls this his jabs, right? Jabs are pushing value out, right hooks are bringing value back in. Then from there, you do something relational so they connect to you on a personal level and are willing to listen when you get to the actionable content and you ask them to do something. Where video really shines is that relational and that discoverable section. Those two pieces are, you can convey them in lots of ways, but when you have the personal touch, things really pop. When you can see something moving on screen, when someone can say, come along with me for this journey, when someone pops up and goes, here is a short story about goats. And you're like, well, I don't know what that means, but I need to watch this story about goats and learn what's going. It may have nothing to do with the company, but you've pulled them in. And so then they're willing to read your infographic or look at your breakdown of the statistics relating to your company, whatever, things like that. And those pieces, the relational and the discoverable pieces, don't have to be polished. And that's where people often will get hung up, is they'll not start because they don't have the equipment. But the truth is, everyone is carrying everything they need in their pocket right now. That's your smartphone. It has a decent enough microphone in it. It has great picture quality if it's from the last 3 to 5 years, not even talking about the iPhone stuff, which like arguably an iPhone can compete with a lot of the modern cameras. But you don't need any of that because what brings people in is story. People connect to stories. And if you're telling a story, then you are the part that matters, not the quality of the picture. If I jump up in front of a camera that's just a phone sitting on a book, right? And I jump up in front of that phone and I go, I'm so excited because the craziest thing just happened. It doesn't matter that the picture might look like I'm shooting it on a potato. You're thinking, wow, like something cool just happened and I don't know what it is yet. And it brings you in. So you are the driving force behind engagement with your videos, not the equipment. The equipment are just sort of substitutes for, like, if I'm having an off day, but I can show you a video of a bear that's like crystal quality, then you might forgive the fact that I'm having an off day because you're like, but that bear is really cool. But you don't need it because you can always show up and be the draw of your content.
Story. You talked about story.
Yes.
And every small business owner has one.
Mm-hmm.
From their passion, their idea, their amazing product or service. So how can a small business owner tell their story? Because when they come to me to start working with me and helping them with their marketing, they come in with this chest beating, we, I. And is that the way that they should tell their story on video?
So there's a place for telling your story, but it's not your first set of videos. What you want to do to connect with an audience is to tell their story and be a character in it. So let's say, just for the sake of the example, I'm a company that makes sponges. And deep back in the history of my family, we've made sponges for many generations and whatever, right? There's this deep story in the history of my family there, but people don't care about that. What people care about is when there's a mess in my kitchen and this sponge is only good for like 3 minutes, then I have to throw it away. So the story I should be telling on video should be that story. Should be, I know right now that you watching this are frustrated because your sponges suck. And actually, I guess your sponges don't suck in this case. And I have a product that will work for you so that the next time your kid comes into the kitchen, knocks over the trash can, throws all the stuff on the floor, and you have just this big multicolored mess that you can't even step in, we've got one sponge that's going to take care of all of it. And all you have to do is pay us a couple dollars for it. And now what I've done is I've told their story. I've hit their pain point, right? Their kids are making messes all the time and they have to keep reusing something. And then I've picked the product I'm selling as just a character in that story. But if you had this piece, then your story would be different. And I retell the story with a new ending. And so by telling their story, people because we all connect to stories. Mm-hmm. Everybody, that's why we go and sit in a movie theater for 2.5 hours for something we weren't involved in that happened far away that's probably fictional, but it's a good story. But if we're telling their story, now they're double the engaged, because now it's like, this doesn't just connect to me. I don't just relate to that character. I am that character. And so then you're telling them how I'm going to add value to you. It's not even a sales pitch. You get value from this product. If you want one, here's where it is. I didn't say, and if you buy now, we'll knock 15% off and send you a toaster. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just made it your story and then invited you to change the outcome of your story by partnering with my company.
I love it. And as you were telling the story about something as simple and boring as a sponge, I could see the story unfolding, right? I'm the mom in the messy kitchen with the kids, treps in the dirt everywhere. Brilliant, brilliant example.
I think there's a key piece to mention there too, that when we're telling their story, we're telling it through their medium. So in that way, like using your smartphone for video is almost going to be better at connecting to that target audience, at least in that specific case, because that's what they're using. So when they send a photo to their friends and they say, look at this mess my kid made, they're not taking that, that picture on some $7,000 camera. So if I'm taking the same video, I'm telling their story, it should look like how they see it. So in that case, using my smartphone might be better, even though I do own the $5,000 camera or whatever. It might be better for me to tell that story using a smartphone. So finding stories that don't just relate to your audience, but that they would tell their friends, those are like the perfect avenue for smartphone-based video or, little GoPros and things like that.
Okay, great. I'm so glad you're talking about this because even when it comes to marketing, there's 3 approaches. You can do it yourself, you can do it with some help, or you can just hire an expert to get it done. Same with video. So you're sort of saying, hey, you can do it yourself. You can whip out your phone camera and do it. You can maybe do it with some help, have your spouse or an employee stick up a camera and record you and, maybe invest in a little equipment. And then you have, your own video shoot. Or you can partner with someone such as yourself who is an expert, has high-end equipment and, can help you craft your story. Let's go through some different examples of those. So for the do-it-yourself, what kind of video best works in that kind of situation?
If you look at people who are doing what you do on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever you're looking to put your content, whatever they're making on their smartphone is the same content that's going to be safe for you. In general, I would say that anything that you're doing yourself needs to be authentic. It needs to be personal. So we're not trying to make a Super Bowl style advertisement here. We're not trying to do the Old Spice commercials where things keep coming in and disappearing, right? Those kinds of stuff might be out of reach, but that doesn't mean you don't have a story to tell. and the story doesn't care about the medium. So if I'm telling a story, I can do that just as simply by holding up my phone in a minivan and talking while I'm at a red light. Although don't do that if it's legal in your state. But I don't need, all the expensive equipment to do all of that. And so those are the kind of videos, you speaking directly to your consumer. Basically, take your client, customer, follower, family, whatever you call them in your vernacular, put them across the table from you at a coffee shop and have that conversation. Those are the kinds of things that work great for a one-man operation or a one-woman operation, where you just sit down, you put the phone there, and essentially the phone is your target audience, and you have a conversation with it. Use second person, speak to the you. You really need to understand. Make it engaging the way it would be engaging in a one-on-one chat. When you're speaking to the masses and you need to collect the attention and start worrying about the different key points you need to hit, then we start getting into maybe bigger operations. But you can talk to someone and say, things have just not been great at Sally's smoothie shop, so we've decided to discount all of our fruit smoothies to get you in the door, and it's literally just a ploy to get you in the door, but we think you're going to love it anyway because our fruit smoothies are great, and while you're here, we would love for you to try blah. And I've just done a one-on-one conversation with someone. It's simple, it's short, and keeping videos short is important too, especially on social platforms, because people are like on Instagram, for example, you've got like 4 seconds as that image travels across the screen and then it's gone. And so if you're going across their screen like, hey, I'd like to tell you about, okay, wait, come back. And they're gone, then it's like, oh, well, I missed my opportunity. So making that engaging, that face-to-face, make sure they can see your eyes, get nice and close so that they're making eye contact with you, and have those one-on-one conversations, the authentic, the behind the scenes, the look at this mess in my office. Do you know why it's messy? Because I just made a new product for you. Things like that.
Great. So I think that helps alleviate some of the fears of small business owners who be thinking, oh my God, I have to hire a full-time production person just to do video every day. So hiring a company like yours who is a professional and can really help you script and tell your story, what types of videos best work for that?
Anything where you have a picture in your head already of what it needs to look like. If you are not a video person, then it's probably best to partner with a video person, because most of the people in that field, myself included, are sort of experienced in taking, you have words like, I want it to feel dark. And they can take that and turn it into, okay, so what you mean is you want just one side lighting and you want us to up the like all the video terms. And so then we can make it what you have in your head without you having to know all the camera speak and which equipment you need and how to get the right things. And then you're not wasting a bunch of extra money on buying the wrong gear or renting the wrong gear. And then you shoot the video and you're like, this isn't any good. So then you need an editor. And then editors are going to be harder to work with than videographers, because I can shoot with the edit in mind, but an editor has to correct what's been given to them. So those are the kind of circumstances when it's more than a one-on-one conversation, when it's more than the behind the scenes look, when you want to do something like what the company Purple is doing with their mattresses, where they're, dropping an egg on the mattress and proving that it won't break and things like that, where it's like, I have this idea and it would be great, but how in the world do I do that? That's when you start bringing in, when you hit the limit of your creativity, then bring someone else in. Until then, you probably don't need them. Now, there's an exception to that, which is that some companies like mine also offer strategy. And that is a piece that a lot of small businesses struggle with, not because they can't think strategically, but because they don't have the time to collect the data and figure out if the strategy works. So you could say, I'm going to post 7 times a week on YouTube. But how do you know if 7 times a week on YouTube is working for you? How do you compare the investment of time and energy to the return on investment? How do you figure all that stuff out? Well, if you work with a company that will build for you a strategy that says, here's how we evaluate it. Here's when we check in. You get a bi-weekly report on how your videos are performing so we can tweak and adjust course if we need to, those sorts of things. Then that might be a circumstance where you want to partner with someone earlier, because they're going to take a lot of the follow-up work off of your plate. You might be shooting the videos yourself, and that can save you a bunch of money, but having people who know what to do with the data can be really helpful in terms of like the stretch goal. Like, I want to increase my market share by 2%. And I think to do that, I need to shoot videos, but how do I connect a video to my market share? And finding people who can help with those connections.
someone who wants to work with an outside company such as you, they understand the value of having professional videos done to tell their story. What does that process look like? Like, how much time should they plan? What do they need to consider when it comes to a budget? What other factors do they need to consider when they want to work with an outside company?
So planning and budget are both big ones. You should bring in the company as early as possible into the planning process, because you might have an idea in your head and then you've spent months and months refining it, and you get to the company and they're like, well, to do that, what you need is, and it's like way out of your price range. So if you can bring them into the conversation at the rough sketch phase, where you've gone beyond, I want a video that will engage my audience, and maybe you've gotten to, I want to drop an egg on a mattress and prove to them that it won't break. At that point, you should bring in the company and you should say, here's how much money we have. Be very upfront about what your budget is, because no integrity-based company is going to drop you for your budget, but they will spend a bunch of time creating a proposal for you on a project they could do. And if it's outside your budget, then that's a waste of their time and a waste of your time. So keeping all the money stuff out on the table in front and not letting it be, the behind closed doors kind of conversation that it sometimes can be. And then bringing them into the idea and saying, can we do this exact idea? And if we can't, how close can we get? And letting them, most of these companies like mine, I exclusively work with creatives. Mm-hmm. So we love to solve problems. So when we get into a conversation, if you give us the budget number, now as close as we can get to that vision under that budget number is almost like a game for us, where it's like, how close can I get? I would love to nail this at $3, and and figuring out that line. So bringing them in that stage is important. From there, the process usually looks like we have some kind of preliminary meeting where you spell out your vision, your budget, your wins. And then the company will go back and work internally to figure out how can we accomplish this, what kind of locations do we need. They'll take care of all the outside factors. Do we need to bring in actors? Do we need to bring in whatever? And then come back to you with a proposal that will outline your budget, their budget, like to do exactly what you said. And then if that is more than your budget, then they'll also have a version that's, here's as close as we can get to what you're saying that's under your budget. And from those, you'll have a very good picture of, here's what the finished product could look like depending on the tier of budget that I choose. And you kind of choose a version of those to go forward with. And then it's as simple as, okay, we got to schedule some dates to get cameras in front of people. And then when that's done, there's some turnaround time on the edit. I don't want to commit to a shoot time or a turnaround time because every company is different. I aim to make my turnaround time as fast as possible. So from shoot to edit, I generally tell people, like, I'll ask for a month and I'll usually give them results in a week. I would way rather underestimate myself and then over deliver than go the other extreme. But for some companies that's different. So I don't want to commit every video company in the world to that. A lot of them will take a longer time because of, just the nature of how their company is structured or whatever.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm a testament to the journey that you just explained. When I came to Josh and I was setting up a new website, and I knew that I wanted two very different videos. I wanted a video that presented the company and what we did, sort of the branding video. But I also wanted something kind of fun that told the story of and got into the pains of what the small business owner was feeling. So I called Josh and I, kind of spewed what was in my brain. And it was like he was a mind reader. He took the two ideas of very, very different videos and turned them into life, literally and here's another thing, is that by working with a professional like Josh, you can bundle your video shoot together. So maybe instead of doing one video, you can do 5 videos, right? Because I did 2 videos in one shoot with him, totally different scenes and sort of storyboards. And if you want to take a look at what he did for me, go to gidmarketing.com. On the front page, he made a sort of CEO comical kind of video, being the chief everything officer wearing multiple hats. And then on the gidmarketing.com/about page, he created sort of, the story, why the agency was created, what we do, some testimonials, and that will give you a sense of the work that he does. I came in, nothing scripted out, and Josh just asked questions, and all I had to do was talk to the camera, answer the questions, and he edited it all together and ended up with this brilliant masterpiece. So thank you for that, Josh.
You're welcome.
I'm thinking that every small business owner, the first place that they should start is by having this branded video. So whether it's a dentist or a naturopath, an accountant, the little business on Main Street, they need a video that really tells their story. Would you agree?
Absolutely. There's a book called Primal Branding. I think it's by Patrick Hanlon. And in there, he spells out the 7 subconscious elements of brands that people connect to. And he's done studies on hundreds and hundreds of companies and whatever else. And he spelled, these are the 7 pieces that if your brand does this well, there is something subconscious about people, which he's calling primal, that will connect them to what your brand is doing. And that first video should have all 7 of those elements. I'm not going to leave you in suspense. Your creation story, where did you come from? Your creed, what do you believe in? Your leader, who is bringing you to where you're going? Your insider terminology or your words. There should be things that if I'm part of the club, I get it. And if I'm not part of the club, I don't get it. So like if you are a Nike subscriber and someone says, just do it, then that means something totally different to if you're just outside there and someone is just yelling at you to get your work done, right? All of a sudden it's this motivational company-wide thing and you're like, oh yeah, Nike partnership, whatever. And like people are a part of something. You need to have what have I said? Creation story, creed, leader, sacred words, rituals, things that people do all the time. Your company needs to do them better. UPS. You have to ship things all the time, but when you ship with UPS, there's nothing branded about their packaging, and so you're not worried about competing with anybody. Or when you go to the like the salon, right? There's a bunch of different salons, but when you specifically go to Avita, you get a head massage first for free. Those are things that are ritual things that they've taken to the next level to make people identify with their company. So it's pieces like that, and you can pick up the book for it. It's like $9 or $11 or something, and it's just full of all these great examples. If you can get all that into one video, then your video will connect to your audience right away and bring them into your brand.
What mistakes do you think that small business owners make when they're creating video?
Not formatting the video for the platform that it's being posted on. So if I'm going to post a video, like let's say I'm making that intro video and I'm saying, hi world, I'm this company. If I shoot that video, I need to have a vertical version of that video that's going to go on Instagram natively. I'm not going to post a link to somewhere else. I'm not going to send you off the platform. I need a widescreen version of that video that's going to go to YouTube. It's going to go to my website. I need a square version of that video to post on Facebook because squares perform a little bit better than vertical, at least right now, because it's kind of half and half between desktop and phones. So formatting for the platform that you're sending your video to, and this is something that's very easy to do in post. If you've not done video stuff before, there are free softwares that will make that happen for you. They'll just take what you did and reformat it. But making sure that it looks like what people need to see on that platform is the easiest off-ramp for anyone to take, right? If it doesn't look right, if they're like, oh, this is on YouTube and they just uploaded it here, that's an off-ramp. People are gone. So formatting it for your platform is a mistake that a lot of people make because they think I don't have the time for that. Title and thumbnail. If you're posting to YouTube or to Facebook, I think Instagram does this as well. I'm not as familiar with IGTV yet. I have someone else for that. But the title and the thumbnail are what determine if someone watches your video. So you may have made the most compelling video anywhere, but if your thumbnail is a screen grab of you mid-sentence, like, then no one's going to click on it. They're going to be like, that looks like someone made it at home and I don't trust it. So coming up with, even if you just take an afternoon and you have a photographer come to your place of business and just take like 50 high-res photos, and then you can just loop those as thumbnails. But now it looks like you've got something that's really well put together. And so when people click on it, they will forgive the fact that it looks more authentic and raw and low budget because you've already brought them in. Once they're in, people are pretty much in because we don't want to admit that we committed to something that didn't have the return. So if you can get people through that click part, so the title's got to put the value in it, right? I want a title that says the top 5 things you can do for your business rather than 5 things I really think are important and stuff like that. So title, thumbnail, formatting for the platform you're going to, and not doing video is probably the biggest mistake that most small businesses do. They think we don't have time, then shoot the video while you're working. You don't even need to set aside an afternoon and make your video. Take it with you and just be like behind the scenes of making a crepe. And all you're doing is holding your phone while you're making a crepe and trying to do it with one hand and kind of derping around and like, I can't get the stupid crepe to crepe. And then you have to lean it on something. People love that stuff. That's relational, right? That's behind the scenes. They're connecting to you. They're feeling your struggle and, oh man, there's this journey this person's going on. I want to be a part of that. So just do it. And if you make a video you don't like, you don't have to post it. Make another video, right? So the more video you make, the more comfortable you're going to get.
Wow. You provided so much brilliance and value today. So, how do we tie this all up into the secret recipe that the small business owner can leave with? What words of advice do you want them to take away if they're to write down something right now?
I don't want to screw this up, so give me a second to think about it. If I were going to send someone home with like a fortune cookie's worth of advice.
Exactly. What's in the fortune cookie?
I'm
so curious to know.
Videos need to be an authentic connection between the viewer and the watcher. So whatever you do, don't stage it. Don't script it. People can tell you're reading off a teleprompter. Don't, unless you're being honest and holding the paper in front of you, like, hey, I wrote this letter to you, and then you read it, that's fine. But don't try and like, oh, I'm totally not reading a teleprompter right now. I'm just looking over to the side to, be authentic and let people connect to your story by telling them their story. So whatever video you do, whether it's a Super Bowl advertisement or a video on your phone, tell their story and make your story come alongside it to change the outcome. And that's what people will connect to.
All right, you heard it, the fortune cookie. Use video to tell your story and be authentic. Josh can absolutely help you do that. How can they get in touch with you to learn more?
Absolutely. I have a website. It's weareepic.video. The company is Epic Video. We're the same social handle as well at We Are Epic Video on Facebook or Instagram. You can get in touch with us there. Or you can email me at josh@weareepic.video. All of those, if you just remember We Are Epic Video, then you'll get there. I would love to talk about how it can be a resource.
Thank you, Josh. So please get in touch with Josh. He is brilliant when it comes to transforming your story into video. So thank you for tuning in, everybody, today. This is Small Business Stacey, your small biz marketing specialist, here to help you get your marketing into action and help you become a small biz marketing whiz. Bye-bye.
This podcast was brought to you by Small Business Stacey, the small biz marketing specialist. Want to know the 6 simple steps that will double, even triple your business in the next 30 days? Go to smallbizmarketingspecialist.com/transform and finally achieve the successful and profitable business you always knew you'd have. That's smallbizmarketingspecialist.com/transform.